So why is this pushback against the Trump cabinet really happening? I think that's the biggest thing that I want to talk about today, and really why this pushback, particularly on the conservative side. I'm going to be taking a lot of aim at the right-wingers today on this show. Why is this happening? Why is Trump really divisive? And I think the reason is because a lot of quote-unquote conservatives out there who say that they're on quote-unquote on the right or quote-unquote conservative is that they're liars. Like I said, that's why they hate Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and all the other people that are in the cabinet and doing all the things that they're doing. The reason why Trump is divisive on the right and why you have so many people on the right becoming enemies of Trump and why there's this big debate about foreign policy and monetary policy and government spending and the intel agencies and things like that is Trump is issuing a correction. He's issuing a correction to the quote-unquote conservatism, which isn't conservatism at all, that has defined modern Republican politics for years, really, probably about at least 30 and probably more than that. And I think what's important to understand here is that the Republican politics before Trump and the ones that are kind of being the antibodies that are attacking the internal GOP fighting right now, these aren't actually conservative people at all. They're not. This is the fission and the split that's currently going on in conservative politics. And a lot of people have named Trump as like this flag bearer of the quote-unquote new right, this is like the new version of conservatism. But that's inaccurate. That's actually not true. What's happening is that he is reverting conservatism back to its actual definition. He is being more of a true conservative than any conservative politician of my lifetime. And that's including people that have become president who are conservatives. And that's why I think Trump is he's being viewed at as a revolutionary figure, as a person who is really kind of making a lot of change inside of the GOP because he's actually reverting and redefining what a conservative is and what a conservative means to its true definition. So the most accurate way, I think, to describe Trump, in my view, and Trumpism, is a term called paleoconservatism. So people that might be on paleo diets, people might be on, like they've heard Paleolithic, all these sorts of things. So what does that mean? I'm a word person. I'm a writer. It's important for me to get definitions right. So the reason why I think Trump is a paleoconservative, and a lot of people are kind of aligned with this vision, is that paleo means older or ancient. So think, again, Paleolithic, paleo diet. You're eating the things that, our cavemen ancestors used to eat, right? It falls in line with conservatism by definition because conservatism is to conserve tradition. It is traditional to be a conservative. So paleo lines up with older or ancient, which falls in lines with conservative. And the point of conservatism is to, at least in my view, is to keep the traditional values of a society alive. What got us here? What is the meaning of life? What are all these things that we need to decide? If you are a conservative person and you call yourself a conservative, you are only a conservative if you value the things that got us here, the traditions, the stories, the patriotism, whatever, all of that sort of thing. And currently in America, what conservative politics is not doing is doing that for the most part. This is a very new thing that Trump has reintroduced to everybody. Instead, conservative politics for the longest time, for my entire life up until Trump, has been defined by really two things: neoliberalism and neoconservatism. So neo means new, which goes completely against conservatism, right? That means you're a progressive. So neoliberals and neoconservatives are actually progressives. They're not conservatives. They're not. So neoliberalism, this wild, quote-unquote, free market capitalism, which essentially just, feudalism and looting from a lot of other people and, kind of distributing the wealth. It's really no different than communism from that standpoint. And then neoconservatism, which is this imperialistic desire to colonize the world and, quote-unquote, spread our values and to spread democracy around the world. This is not conservatism at all. It's not. And the fact that, like I said, it's the same thing as social justice. Justice is justice. You don't need to attach a suffix onto it, or a prefix onto it, rather, or a suffix, but a prefix in this context. So neo, meaning new is not traditional. Traditional is not new. So anyone describing them as, I'm a neo this, or I'm a neo that, they're not a conservative, regardless of how they're claiming to be. This is why all the neocons hate Trump, and why all the neoliberals who hate the tariffs hate Trump. There are two people that hate Trump right now: the people who are quote unquote like free market people, the neoliberals, and the endless wars people, the people who want to completely go all in on Ukraine, go all in on Israel, all these sorts of things. And there's debate and discussion to have around that. But in terms of They want to go and bomb Iran and open up everything in terms of the free markets and not bring any manufacturing back, and the tariffs are awful, all this sorts of things. These people are the quote-unquote conservatives that try to say that they're for this. They're not. They're progressives, all of them, by definition. And it's worth noting here that neocons and neolibs have not helped conservatives at all. Instead, like I said, they're closeted leftists. They're closeted leftists and progressives. Dave Smith was just on Tucker Carlson a couple days ago talking about this, where he was talking about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, I've made the argument before, is a closeted leftist because of these reasons. In a way, and do I think Ben is probably conservative? Yes. I think Ben is he's very socially conservative, for one thing, so that's a good thing. But in terms of all of these things, in terms of the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel, the COVID vax, everything else, he fell for all of it. And it's not just Ben. I just don't want to people are picking on Ben like crazy nowadays. And I think some of that's fair, but also some of it's unfair. But in terms of the people who just believe this stuff broadly, foreign wars and American imperialism, i.e. neoconservatism, across the world have done two things. They've hollowed out our budget and they've hollowed out our standing in the world. So they have degraded American interests across the world by depleting our military, by butchering people all across the world with the war on terror, and by terrorizing our young men and young women that have to go fight over there and do all that sort of thing. And they've destabilized our standing across the world. Like the world does not like us in a lot of the world because we are seen as this imperialist state that goes over and topples this government, and the CIA goes in here and blows up this building and all this sort of stuff. And it's been terrible. It's been terrible for America. It's been terrible for the citizenry. It's been terrible for our budget. It's been terrible for our monetary stance. It's been terrible for everything. And on the other side, with the neoliberal stance, our modern quote-unquote free market economic system has completely screwed over the economy for most Americans. It's completely screwed over the economy. We don't have a middle class in this country anymore. We have a feudal system. This is what Steve Bannon calls neo-feudalism, which is true. We have a big bunch of this is the World Economic Forum, the BlackRock people. It's a bunch of people who own stuff at the top. And by the way, I'm not a Marxist while saying this. It's just kind of the reality of the situation. We have all these corporations, these governments buying up property, buying up single-family housing, buying up all of this farmland, everything else, and no one can own anything anymore. Like if you're not overtly wealthy, you don't have a chance, especially if you're a young person. Like young people are going to get crushed by this if we don't fix this immediately and don't raise wages and not distribute, that sounds like a bad word, but make it more accessible to own things. And so the reason why the conservative the conservative policy battle is happening right now is that Trump is anti-war and Trump is pro-American worker. And being anti-war and being pro-American worker are death blows to neoconservatism and neoliberalism. They are the two things they are the kryptonite to both of these things, which is why you see and hear so many people screaming about them on cable news. Oh, you hate Israel, you hate Gaza, you hate Ukraine, you hate Russia, you want to tank some tech sales executive out in Silicon Valley. You want to tank my 401k. It's like no. I don't want to kill more people. Like I think the single most impactful thing that Trump said on the campaign, I think he said this in a debate with both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, is that he's like, I just want the dying to stop. I just want the dying to stop. And I'm like, yes, I want the dying to stop too. Lots of people want the dying to stop. I want to stop the dying. That's why. And then people in this country have gotten screwed by our modern system of neoliberal economics. They've gotten screwed by it. And this is not anti-free market, by the way. I love capitalism. I love the free market. But it needs to work and be accessible to everybody. That's the point of the free market. If everyone cannot have a chance, and people can fail and do all these things, and that's fine, and they should if they don't do well, but if people do not even have a chance to get out to the starting line, that is not a free market. That's anti-competitive. And that's exactly what Trump is saying. That's why he's doing the tariffs and why he's slamming this on other people. That's exactly why. So it's why you hear so much screeching from them about stuff that doesn't matter. Also, about like social causes and climate change. Like it's all a psyop. It's all a psyop because they know that all of this is BS. They know that all of this is complete garbage. They know that they didn't sign up for this. And they know that Trump is going for the jugular like he did with USAID, like he did with the wars, like he did with everything else in terms of toppling this on the right. And that's why a good amount of quote-unquote conservatives, who are not conservatives at all, are people on the right, quote-unquote, They're not actually. They're fake. They're fraudulent. And I'm so glad they're being exposed now for all to see.